You know, I've done a lot of things to this Marlin Model 1894 since I've gotten it that sure do make it work smoothly. It really is nice. But the one thing that I've anticipated the most was a change that we're going to make right now. And if you'll stick around, you'll find out what it is. But I'll give you a hint. Hi, George here, and welcome to Tales from Target Suite, where I'll share my perspective on guns and shooting, and we'll spend some time at the range, and every now and then we'll reconvene right out there in my shop or at the farm in Louisiana where I'll build some fun projects, and we'll share an adventure or two that'll make even a grown man smile. And in today's video, if you haven't figured out by now, we're going to take the scope off of this classic Marlin Model 1894 lever action or lever action, and we're going to replace it with an Aperture sight from Ranger Point Precision. But you're probably asking, what happened that's going to allow me to take that scope off now? Because you knew that I wanted to work up some decent loads before I converted to an Aperture sight. And that scope was very helpful in doing just that. Well, today we did go to the range, and I had intended fully to film that as a Range Day Chapter 2. But it just wasn't. I went to a different range and it was not conducive to video. But what I did accomplish, I carried with me quite a few hand load options and for jacketed bullets today, and wound up with two loads. One gave me a group size of about 1.5 inches, and this is at 50 yards, and the other one gave me a group size of about 1.25 inches at 50 yards. Now that's not great, but at least it's a kind of accuracy that I can live with for right now. And the reason that I'm kind of in a hurry to come up with some kind of reasonable accuracy is because I'm going to the farm tomorrow. And I've got a project that's going to be interesting. And we're going to talk about the quintessential brush gun. But that's for another video. Now that I have some reasonable accuracy and some reasonable loads, we're going to pull this scope off. Back to the Marlin, we're going to pull this scope off, and I'm going to show you that Aperture sight from Ranger Point Precision. So let's get this thing taken off and break open the package on that Ranger Point Precision Aperture sight and look and see what that's all about. Okay, we've had the scope off several times just to facilitate cleaning and doing other things, but I don't think I've ever had the scope base off, so we'll get to look at what's underneath that scope base for the first time together. I'm really excited about this Ranger Point Precision modification because a rifle like this just does not want to have a scope. And if you saw one of my earliest videos about the Marlin Model 1894, I told a rather sad but interesting story about why that great classic Marlin Model 39A is what I meant to say, why that rifle wound up with a scope on it and how it took decades to rectify that problem. But here we go. Let's see what's underneath that scope base. Okay, well, everything looks fine. It just doesn't have any screw holes or any screws in there, but we can live with that. Now, let's take a look at the Ranger Point Precision Cloverleaf Peep sight. I haven't done many unboxing videos, and so this is kind of my first. But here's what I really like about the Ranger Point Precision is it's got a cloverleaf aperture, and it's got those two. Let me get a pointer. And it's got these two light pipes right next to the cloverleaf aperture. And so I've actually seen how bright those light pipes are, and it's amazing. So it's pretty straightforward to get this thing on. It comes with a couple of screws and even has a wrench in the package. You know, when all else fails, you read the directions, right? But I got to tell you, it's pretty straightforward. And there it is. There's one handsome aperture sight. Now I can tell you the advantage that the Ranger Point aperture sight has over the Skinner is the inherent height of the aperture itself relative to the base of the sight body. And you could see that there's no elevation post, and it's because the folks at Ranger Point have done a really slick job of some innovation here, again, without the use of a screw-in aperture post. And there's those light pipes. Man, I can't wait to see those in the daylight. Let's get this thing installed. First thing I'm going to do, as you can see, the aperture is completely biased to that side, and so I'm just going to make some adjustments here with that screw and start by getting the aperture centered up in the sight itself. Okay, it was just that easy. I like that. That's an elegant sight. And I like the way that it's finished to match the back of the Marlin Model 1894 receiver. And even has a similar profile right here at the very front to match this detail here. So it's like the sight was made for the Marlin Model 1894, which, you know what? It was. Now, I can't wait to get this thing adjusted, but we're going to do that first thing when we get to the farm, and I'll do a quick video just sighting in this aperture sight from Ranger Point Precision. But I can tell you right now, I'm pretty stoked about this thing. Well, there it is, and I got to tell you, that is indeed a nice change to the classic Marlin Model 1894. And so, you know what? Oh yes, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and then if you click on that little bell, YouTube says you'll get notified every time I upload a new video, usually on Tuesday. And speaking of Tuesday, next Tuesday, I hope, because I'm going to the farm tomorrow, and this video, you'll be watching this video YouTube time tomorrow, and then a week from then you'll get to see me adjust the sights on this Cloverleaf Peep from Ranger Point Precision. But I have several other projects there, including the one that I mentioned about the quintessential brush gun. And so I've got some exciting things on the horizon, and I hope I get them all done in the next week or 10 days at the farm. And so I hope to see you there. Take care.